Our first person this week is Delaware Governor Jack Markell. Next week, the governor will be outlining his view of where Delaware is during his State of the State address. And at the midterm of the governor's administration, we thought we'd start with an assessment of things 2 years later. Governor, thank you very much for joining us. And it was about 2 years ago. Again, I always bring this up. It was that freezing day, and you kind of outlined what you'd like to do during your first term here. And I think right at the top was job creation. And when you entered office, I think the unemployment rate was around 7%. It's now at 8.4%. I'm not blaming you, but have you been successful so far?
Well, of course, the unemployment rate is down considerably from where it was at the peak, and it's well over a point below the national average. We've got a long way to go, but we've had some pretty striking success. When you think about the fact, for example, when General Motors went into bankruptcy, they had to close plants all over the country. The one plant that they closed that has a new lease on life is the one in Delaware. Refineries have closed all over the country. The one that has a new lease on life is the one in Delaware. Purdue decides to move their agribusiness headquarters to Seaford. Sallie Mae moves their their world headquarters to Delaware. We have lots of examples of smaller and medium-sized businesses as well. And I think it's because what we do is we put ourselves into the shoes of the people who create jobs, focus in on what they care most about. Not very complicated. Schools, reasonable taxes, quality of life, a responsive government, all those kinds of things, and we are very, very responsive. We're quick, we're nimble. We've got a long way to go, but we're certainly on the right path.
Give us some examples. There's some a lot of folks sitting at home who have not had a job for a while, and they're kind of wondering, where is Delaware going? Where will a lot of jobs be in the near future here in Delaware? What type of sector?
You know, we're not big believers in trying to choose one winning sector, because my view is that when government tries to pick, it's probably going to get it wrong. And so what we have to do instead is we've got to create a climate, an economic climate, where entrepreneurs and workers can thrive across a whole range of industries. Certainly, we love to see the manufacturing come back a little bit, and to have 700 people now at the old Valero refinery preparing for a restart in the spring, that's a big deal. In fact, the best part of my job is when people come up to me and tell me that they had been out of work and now they found something thanks to some of the work that my administration has done. So whether it's financial services, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's frankly in the service business, we want to create jobs. Obviously, the higher paying jobs, the better. The jobs, we're thrilled, for example, that NRG is spending $400 million down in Dagsboro right now. They've got hundreds of people working there installing emissions equipment to dramatically improve the quality of the environment down there. So when you can improve environmental quality while putting people to work at the same time, that's a total win-win. And so we're working across a whole range of sectors, but we think it's a mistake to pick one.
No, I don't want to dwell on this too much longer, but we're pretty much stagnant at our unemployment rate. And there are a lot of what we call underemployed, a lot of people working part-time when they like to work full-time. In the next year, do you think a lot of those underemployed may get full-time jobs, and do you think we're going to make some strides in that unemployment rate?
Well, there are some people who think that the unemployment rate may pop up a little bit in Delaware and across the country as some of the people who have been out of work get back into the job market, start looking again. So we actually focus less on the fact of what the rate is and more on the fact that there are 35,000 people in Delaware right now. These are our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, and our family who want to be working and who aren't. And so my commitment to them is that I wake up every single day focused on how we can put more Delawareans back to work. And I think the real proof is in the pudding. If you go out and talk to employers who have chosen to come to Delaware because they recognize the economic climate's getting better, they recognize that we in government will do whatever we have to do to facilitate their success. When you think about it right now, my main job is to facilitate the success of businesses that are putting people to work. And so when Alan Levin and I go and visit businesses all over the state, we go and we ask a real simple question: what can we do to be helpful?
In the last couple of years, you've mentioned that you want to cut the cost of government. One of your latest plans, and this isn't anything new, you've been talking about this for a while, but maybe scaling back on some of the benefits for state employees, health benefits, pension. What are some of the possible changes state employees could see there?
Well, first of all, we've done a lot over the last couple of years to reduce spending in government. We are down by 1,000 positions. This is at a tough time because demand for services has increased. We've moved out of leased real estate. We've renegotiated leases. We've done literally many, many dozens of things to reduce spending. We've got incredibly hardworking and talented state employees. That being said, if you look at at our budget, the cost of health care, the cost of pensions is skyrocketing. And we do have one of the best pension funds in the country, best funded, but that in large part is because the state has continued to put a lot of money. This year it's going to be $100 million of taxpayer money into the pension plan. Healthcare costs just ballooning, as they are for other businesses. And so what happens is that squeezes out investments that we can make elsewhere, or it squeezes out money that hopefully we can return to taxpayers at some point. So we're engaging in a series of conversations over the next weeks and months with a variety of stakeholders to figure out what we can do. Obviously, tremendously talented, hardworking state employees, but we've got to do something to get the budget under control.
Have you made any proposals yet to any of the unions?
No, instead of making, last year, as you know, I proposed that we fix it. It did not go anywhere in the General Assembly.
Why was that?
I
think just one of those years
I think a couple
nobody
things.
wanted to rock the boat? Or?
Well, I think a couple things. First of all, it was so clear to me, and continues to be very clear to me, that we have to do something. I just figured it would be clear to everybody else, and I think I need to do a better job this time of explaining exactly why this is such a big issue. And it is a big issue because these rising health care and pension costs are squeezing out everything else that we could possibly want to do. That's number one. Number two, I made some specific proposals last year. This year, instead of coming out of the box with these specific proposals, I'm going to listen. I want to hear what other people have to suggest, including some of the folks representing state employees, talking to some of the legislators. I want to get a few more people to be part of the conversation. That being said, I am committed to getting something done this year.
So it's a little too soon to say, all right, state employees, you're going to lose this with your health benefits, you're going to lose this with your pension.
Yeah, and again, let's remember there aren't too many people outside of government these days that have a pension, and so we've got a very good pension. We've got a very good health care benefit. We absolutely recognize the wonderful work done by so many of our state employees. But from the taxpayer's perspective, something's got to give in the budget.
All right, here's the reaction I'm assuming from the state employee right about now. You docked our pay 2.5% a couple of years ago. Last year, you took a little bit of our health benefits, made it a little more expensive. Why are you picking on the state employee? Isn't there anything else you can do to save money?
Well, we do have tremendous state employees, and I go out all the time to their facilities, and I'm really grateful for all that they do. The 2.5%, by the way, was restored. The health benefits last year, they were held harmless. There was not an increase in the premium. But that being said, there are 35,000 people in Delaware who are out of work. That means they're not paying taxes. And so there are a lot of people who are feeling the effects of this recession. And so the math is real simple. And when you think about how rapidly health care costs are increasing and how much the pension costs to the taxpayer have increased, something's got to give. Now, last year, my proposal was to come up with a new tier of benefits and pension for new employees, people who are not yet on the state payroll. That didn't go anywhere. And the way I explained it last year was I thought that was the best way we had of protecting existing employees. But this year I've been asked by leadership of some of the unions to not prejudge and say that that's the starting point. So I'm open to good ideas. From no matter where they come from, I am committed to getting something done.
And you think this year something will get done?
Well, something's got to get done. And I think obviously the more that legislators and others are focused on what's going around the country, we're not the only ones dealing with this. Most states and certainly other countries are facing the same challenge. We don't print money. We can't print money. Something's got to give.
You've been asking state agencies for 2 years now to cut back, period. Be more efficient, save us money. Have they been receptive to that? Are they doing that?
They are. It's tough. I mean, and it's especially tough because this is the great irony of government, is that it's exactly at the moment in time when revenues are down that the demand for services increases. And I've been there. I mean, I've gone to the unemployment office, and the lines are long because so many people are out of work. That puts a burden on the employees at the unemployment office. I've been to the Medicaid office, and the stack of paper is this high at 10:30 in the morning with applications for people who are applying for Medicaid. And so the burden on our state employees is very, very significant right now. We get that. We're incredibly grateful. And it's a tough time to be a state employee. It's also a tough time to be one of those 35,000 Delawareans who are not working, which is, again, why we're so focused on putting people back to work, because we know we can't cut our way to prosperity. We also can't tax our way to prosperity. The only way out for us is to grow the economy, and that's what we're focused on every single day. It's also why we're so focused on continuing to improve our schools.
Now, we don't have that $800 million budget gap that we saw a couple years ago, or whatever the figure was. It was out of this world. But you have said that in balancing the budget this time around, it's going to take a little pain.
Yeah, it's very painful.
Describe that pain that we're going to feel.
Well, I'm going to wait a few weeks to describe it in more detail when the budget actually comes out. Well, I don't know if you look forward to it or not. I'm not exactly looking forward to it. But it is what it is. And when you think about the following factors, the economy still across the country not taking off like we'd like to see. That's number one. Number two, the federal stimulus money that many states, just about all states, including Delaware, used over the last couple of years to help us balance the budget. It's gone. We knew it was going to be gone, so we helped plan for it.
Put some of that away?
Well, we had to make sure that we were being smart about it. It was tough to put some of it away, but that's the second thing. And then the third, of course, is that these health care costs continue to skyrocket. So this is a recipe for a very challenging, very difficult budget, and there will be more to say about that in a few weeks.
Governor, there's a million things to ask you, but let's end on a lighter note. Well, maybe it's not a lighter note, but you were at the Blue Hen football game. I was. Out in Frisco, Texas. Great experience for about 3.5 quarters.
It was a great experience for 2.5 quarters anyway. The pregame was fantastic. There were thousands of Delawareans out there. I went around in the parking lot, saw lots of them. It was like another day in Newark. I mean, and the energy level was that high. It was inspiring. I would not have wanted to be one of the folks from Eastern Washington for that part of the game because there was just so much blue and gold. When I got to the airport in Philadelphia for my flight in the morning, all blue and gold, except for one guy going for the LSU for the Cotton Bowl. So the atmosphere was great. Very exciting to see him get off to that 19-0 lead. It was pretty disappointing last quarter and a half.
Yeah, there were some disappointed faces out there, but nonetheless, it was a great season.
It was a wonderful season.
And you went to a lot of the games, didn't you?
I did. Went to a lot of the games. Loved going to University of Delaware football games. I love going to the Delaware State football games.
Right.
And look forward to them rebuilding. Wesley had a good year. Looking forward to another great year next year.
Governor Jack Markell, thank you very much for joining us.